Three. Three.
Right, here we go. Spirits of the dead, spirits of the living, kindred, welcome. Welcome to the umpteenth monthly vigil to honour the outcast. We are in already the 20th year of every single month. We have been here doing exactly the same thing. We honour the outcast, both dead and alive. We refresh and renew the shrine, and we reclaim the goose's mystery. I've said that wrong because everything rhymes at Crossbones. I'll say it again. We reclaim the goose's secret history. We reclaim everything, actually. Let's say it like it is. Welcome to everybody here. This is what we do. We work within the city and the noise and the bustle, and we make our own beautiful space. Welcome to all the people here live. I presume you are all alive. Welcome to all the people that are coming down through Natalie's phone with Jackie at the other end, who has led the Zoom vigil since lockdown, also every month, and we all meet here together. If you'd like to see me do something other than shout at you, please feel free to come as close as you feel it might be safe. I think you'll find the ancients knew a thing or two back in the day, when they used to gather at places that were liminal spaces, where one world became another world. Because they understood the symbology of standing at such a place where, for example, the ground becomes the water. So at places like riversides, where the sea comes in and meets the land, sacred wells where the water coming up hits the land, those places where two worlds meet, those edge places, a great mystery can happen. Because at the portal, the space that is neither the, for example, the land or the sea, or the river and the land, that space in between the two is a magical space where things can happen. The ancients knew that when they stood physically at a place such as this, they understood the symbolic nature of it. Now, mostly because we're told by John Taylor, a Walter Boatman, in the Southwark Mysteries, the play, it's symbolical, isn't it? Now, we are very fortunate here at Crossbones, because we didn't make this, but here we have our very own portal. The ribbon gates. The place that is neither one thing nor the other. It's not outside. It's not inside. It's not the living. It's not the dead. It's the place that separates all these different worlds, all these different states of mind. Eternity, time. This portal stands in between all of those different states of mind, being neither or possibly both, and allows a flow to work between the two. In fact, I guarantee it to all of you, the closer you are to this liminal space, the more you will experience of that magic. There's a great simplicity to our liminal space, our portal, because merely by having eyes, you can look through it. If you get close enough, you can smell it. If you get really close, you can sense, you can feel the silence of that garden coming out towards us. This is such an intimate dance. It's hardly any wonder that when the goose made herself, I was going to say visible, I don't know if John ever saw her, John Crow, but when the goose came to John Crow at these very gates, it really is no wonder that the dance that they danced to a great extent, Goose Samurai, to a great extent, was the horizontal dance. There's intimacy. But of course, it's not only that. It's the dance of different states of mind. The goose says, you think Suffolk's just a place. I say, she's a state of mind. And so we stand. We understand why we will come here, because of what is beyond the portal, beyond the gates. Crossbones graveyard, a place that for over 200 years, over 270 years, people have fought to keep this place as sacred ground because people are buried here. 277 years. Because people forget that it's there, a generation goes on and people forget, and it has to start again. More people come up, but every time more people have come up, and this time with the people, the Friends of Crossbones, Zana, our local artist who created Fill the Crossbones Graveyard campaign, which is the, oh, here we are, Natalie is modelling the campaign. For almost 30 years, a fight, a struggle with the developers, whose initial plan was to put a 5-story office block with underground car parking on this space beyond these gardens, beyond these gates. They called us nutters. They called us liars. When any fool could go to the library, open the map and see, there it is, 1870, 1830, Crossbones Graveyard, wasn't there? It took 18 years for the landowners to even admit that there was a graveyard here. Slowly, slowly over the years, we've been allowed on. We made a garden even when nobody could see it. And for the last 8 years, the garden has been open to the public at certain times because it's all run by volunteers. We at the gates hold that transformation is possible. And the garden is a physical example. It's symbolical, isn't it? The garden is a physical example of transformation can happen, however long it takes. When we first had sight of Crossbones graveyard, it was a despised, disused, abused and ignored piece of land, pretty much like the 15,000 people that are still buried there. Women, men and children. 60% of the people still buried there are children under 16. It's been closed down since 1853. And as I say, since then there have been sporadic fights. This time, we have a rolling lease of 30 years at a time. The garden, which has been dug into many times over the years, but the last time in the early 90s, because now by law, nobody can put a spade in here. If we make a new garden, we build a raised bed. This is why we're here. This is sacred ground. This unconsecrated graveyard where people were thrown away. This is holy ground by the very fact that those people are buried here, and that makes it so. We honour them. When we honour them, we honour ourselves, because we've all got a bit of outcast inside us. We know the bits that we don't like, we know the bits that we push down. Or we've got our own outcasts outside in the world. You might despise me for all I know, Lizzie. I think you do not, Elizabeth, but who knows? But here, we allow that go. Here, we practice radical acceptance. We even radically accept Andy's half-naked state before he puts his tongue. Sometimes radical acceptance is quite simple. So we're going to start the vigil proper now. We have 4 or 5 short and simple rituals that together make the vigil. And the first one we call holding the light. We spend 1 single minute in silence, because as you all know, the word isn't the first thing. In the beginning was the silence. Then came. We start in the silence for just 1 minute. We allow this physical candle to inspire our own individual spark of light. When we say spirits of the dead, spirits of the living, we don't say, oh, human being, we say, your spirit, my spirit. We're not here. One of the things we do here is, for a moment, kind of, we stop being individual people and we start allowing our spirits, their spirits, the spirits of the yet to be one single unified consciousness. And from that magical space comes mutual healing, love and forgiveness. And there's always room for me. I've got a volunteer who will hold the candle for me. Hold the open pathways light. So what is your name?
Piers.
Piers. Yep. Piers is here. Nearly a poem. To start, just a minute. If the candle does perchance go out, it hasn't gone out in us. Let that be virtual. Let we be real. The open pathways around the dream. So all the beings in all the world may be truly in liberty. Our next ritual is called the act of binding and loosing. When we say we reclaim Goose's secret history, when I do that, I always feel as if I'm grabbing it to myself. That's never the intention here. If we are lucky enough to even sweep by the Goose's secret history and then let it go, this is the meaning, or one of the many meanings, of binding and loosing. Physically, what we do is we tie our ribbons to the gates. The Zoom vigilers will also be tying their ribbons to the gates, and when we repeat the echo poem, you will hear them coming from Natalie's phone as well, joining in with us. So you tie your ribbon to the gates. If you've got your own gift at the gates, would you hand some up on the gift? If you've got your own ribbons at gifts to give at the gates, would you do the same for some of the people, please? And Andy, please. Natalie.
Thank you.
When we tie the ribbons to the gate, you can tie it with whatever. You can say your own form of a prayer. You can wish love or healing for anybody. If you can't think of what to tie on, we suggest that you wish maybe your worst enemy all the love and the joy and the happiness that you wish your own self. Your personal outcast, wish that. What we wish spreads out. Now, there's not many of us. Oh, there is one thing I'd like to remind you. When we tie our ribbons to the gates, this is not only symbolical, isn't it? Not only are we tying our ribbons to the gates to make them lovely and make them dance in the breeze, which is a beautiful thing to do, we try and find a place where the ribbons are not tied already. If you'd like to tie them in something other than a knot tight little bow, if you just tie them like that, so maybe one end is flying free, your ribbon will be dancing in the breeze with all the others. I've done a lot of loosening the ribbons where people tie them down. Try not to tie somebody else's ribbon down. There's space. If you look, there's space for each individual ribbon. So we repeat the echo prayer 5 times. Several people know it, so you will hear those words being said around you. If you hear a word that reverberates in you, echo it back. That's what it's for. Echo whatever you want to echo. Join in with what you want to join in. Tie your gates, and then, having had a moment, feeling so close to the portal, then step back for other people to join. And this is how the echo prayer goes. Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours,
your
fingers, your
thumbs,
miss you, mums.
Here
hang
your
your hope,
dreams,
your might have been, your locks, your
keys,
keys, your mysteries.
Here lay
Lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you, mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have been, your locks, your keys, your mysteries. Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you, mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have been,
your
your locks, your keys, your mysteries.
your keys, your mysteries. Here lay your hearts,
Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries.
the mysteries. Here lay your hearts,
Here lay your hearts,
your flowers,
your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your
fingers,
thumbs, your
thumbs,
mums.
your mystery mums.
Here hang your hopes, your
hang your
dreams, your might have
dreams,
beens,
your might have
your
beens,
locks, your keys,
locks,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries.
Now we come to the part in the ritual, in the vigil, that we call the sacred offerings. We open and close with goose words, that is poetry or quotes from the Southern Mysteries, stems from the intimate downloading that John Constable, via his John Crow shamanic persona, had with the goose energy of this place, who said that when they dug up the graveyard, filled the electricity substation, and they dug up the outcast dead, they dug up her spirit as well. So what she gave to John, and via John to us, was a poetic teaching, sometimes very ribald. She is a medieval prostitute after all. And also the play, The Southern Mysteries. So sometimes there might be quotations from that Southern Mysteries, what I simplify in my head as goose words. So we start and we finish with goose words, and in between we invite people to come and stand and offer a word about why you're here, a song, a poem. It's not an open mic, but it is, as long as it's to do with Crossbones, by your own lights, by your own judgment. This is the liberty. We've all got a honk of our own. So have we got any offerings for the sacred offerings before we step into that space? Day 500, you've got to speak, yes? Andy, have you got anything to say? No? Has anybody got anything that they would like to offer?
I've got a poem.
Proper, quick.
Jackie's got.
Oh, Jackie's got something. We hope. Have we got the speaker? Because
No.
Ken's not here.
No.
I'm
We
not
should-
sure anybody will be able to hear you, Jackie.
Oh,
We'll
well,
just come really close.
come really close.
Turn the volume up.
But first of all, this poem actually always puts me in mind of, I don't know if any of you have read any tantric verses, but it's a saying that says, if here, then everywhere. If not here, then nowhere. This poem is called Here. Here. 2,000 years. Start again, sorry. The beauty put me off. Here. 2,000 years, mouth stopped with a stone in the belly of a well in Mary ovary. 2,000 years of empire, 2,000 years of X-rated flesh did not defile the daughter of eternity. Here, Magdala in ovary reveals her goose's heresy. In Thames mud, larking with the child born at liberty. Here, Jesus walks on the Sea of Galilee. Laughter echoes in the Garden of Gethsemane. I forgot to remind you, when people perform This is not a service. This is an act of sacred profanity. Please feel free to claim. Not me, and anybody else. Okay. If 500 would you like? Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm just right, I've got the name of Day 500. That came about when, or after, I watched a TV program called History Cold Case, where one of the skeletons out of here was forensically examined, and with all the workhouse records and death records and the hospital records, they managed to name that person. That's what brought me here. And then when I got here, I had to, well, I signed a petition to save the graveyard. And I did that. I signed a petition, and about a couple of days later, I went back to the website where I signed a petition, and I found I was number 500. So that's how that came about. Right, and I also found Crossbones marked on an ordnance survey map during the time I was doing my family history. My family came from this area. No one is buried in this graveyard, by the way. My family. The other reason I come here is my son, known as Angry Nest Brimstone, died in 2011. His picture is on the gate up there, just up there. And I taught him about electronics when he was 3.5 years old. From that time, when he was 4, his mum left, and I brought him up. I was a one-parent family from that time on, and I taught him all this electronic stuff. And then he went past what I knew about electronics when he was about 14, and blasted my brain with many electronic statistics which I didn't understand too well. He built and tested everything beyond its capability. It had to have the full Monty Jason test, which usually ended up destroyed. But everything he built was sold, was unblowable. From then on, he got interested in pirate radio, graduating from CB radio. He built sophisticated electronic circuits, eventually building transmitters and other devices for the pirate radio world. People got to hear about what he could do, so he supplied much of his equipment to the pirate radio world. He became quite well known in radio circles, and he made a lot of money out of that. There was a big demand for electronic equipment. And the other thing to note, when he was 14, I noticed something strange about him, but at the time, I couldn't put my finger on it. In later years, he was writing to prisoners in the USA and sometimes sending money. After he passed away, I found the reason. He was an empath from letters that he kept on his PC, around about 100. Also, a video he did, but never put it on YouTube, but I put it on there for the world to see. In the video, he says he stopped 2 people from committing suicide. I found one of those people, and she has now a partner and 3 children and living a happy and rewarding life. So she is so proud of what Jason, she is so proud of what Jason did for her. Jason dealt with mental, psychological and relationship problems. There was no need for a counsellor. If anyone had a problem, he would be there for them and fix their problem almost immediately by using words only empaths use. And the last little bit is I bought a little bit of land. It wasn't expensive, in the far northwest of Scotland, where it's very bleak up there. And the land is for conservation only, so trees will be planted on it. And when you buy the piece of land, you also get a tree automatically planted. That comes free. With the land, the tree is planted, and that tree is called Angry Nest Brimstone in Jason's name. This piece of land cannot be built on, or any roads running across it.
this stops the Scottish government building on it. Just to say, this piece of land is only 1 foot square.
Good. 3.
Thank you all for listening. Brimstone not forgotten.
Woo!
Right, Dad, good night, mate. Any more?
Thank you, Dave 500. That's marvelous. Dave often remembers his morning, but why shouldn't he? This is these pictures on the gates. Over the years, we don't only remember the people who are buried here, we also remember our own. If you need to remember your own, part of the shrine where we built around is, I think it was Xana's cat. This one? Somebody's cat here?
Oh yeah, Festa.
It's Festa.
Yeah.
All lovingly remembered and held within shining emptiness, as we all are. Now, of the people at the Solid Vigil, is anybody else looking to share? In that case, Jackie, would you like to? And if you'd like to get as close as you feel is suitable, because then usually brings the speaker as the meeting. So do your best.
Hello.
Hey,
Can you
Jackie,
hear me? Can you
loud as you
Oh.
can.
This is B from the non-solid vigil. So this is, I read this poem just the other day. It's by Grace Wells, and it really made me think of Crossbones. So I thought I'd read it. It's called Lattice. Come, I said to the creatures, nest, dray, burrow, warren, set. Come, briar, weave a covert for fox. Come, willow, knit an earth for badger. Grass, grow tall enough for hare's form, safe enough for the leverets in spring. Come, I said to the creatures, return. While I live, you will be safe on this half acre. Who have we been with our evictions? Poor landlords, drunk squanderers. We have gambled our fortune. Burrow neighbouring bolt hole, beside rhizome, beneath lair, frog spawn to pool, salmon gilt to the stream, eel to the river, hawk to the hill. Come home. I called to the species. Let us build a lattice of shelters close on one another. Let us restore the matrix of home. Thank you.
Restore the matrix. On this side of the yellow lines, we call these yellow lines obviously. If you're on the wrong side, you run a risk. Breathe out. This breathing in and breathing out. What a lovely thing. Thank you, Goose Samurai. And always room for a laugh, even a dirty one. Always room for a crow, always room for a goose, even a flighty, flirty one. Always room for a crow, even a broken one who seeks not to know in the name of the unspoken one. Always room for a sin in God's house in Overy. Room at the inn for the child born at liberty. Thank you so much for being here with us. We come to our last ritual, which is two blessings. One is the blessing of the Cobbler, which was a gift from a shaman to John Crow to share with the spirits here. And the last blessing is the goose blessing. What we do traditionally is we come as close as we possibly can to this gate for this time. We seal ourselves in, so we're inside by this sacred spirit. We reclaim the gin that was Mother's ruin back in the day. Andy will sprinkle the gin on the ground, so we stand within that sacred space, either touch the gates or touch somebody who's passing the gate. And again, we echo what I'm saying. Please be assured nothing we ever say here will ever be anything that you would compromise yourself with. So feel confident that you can echo with everybody the blessing of the cobblepot. Life,
Life,
health,
health,
happiness,
Happiness.
pathway,
Open
Open pathways.
life,
life,
Life.
health,
Health.
happiness,
Happiness.
open pathways,
open pathways,
health in the body,
health in the body,
peace in the spirit,
Peace in the
spirit,
love in
spirit.
the heart,
love
Love
in the
in the
heart,
heart.
health in the body,
health in the body,
peace in the spirit,
peace in
Peace
the
in the
spirit,
love in the heart,
love in
Love
the
in the
heart.
heart.
It's this that we wish
It is this that we wish for ourselves,
for our friends and friends,
for our friends and family,
for all our kindred,
for
all
all
our
our
kindred,
kindred,
for the goose and the crow,
for the goose and the crow,
humanity.
and
and
for
for
all
all
humanity.
humanity.
It is this that we wish.
It
It
is
is
this that we wish
Ourselves,
for
for
ourselves,
ourselves,
and families,
for our
for our
friends
friends
and
and
family,
family,
our kindred,
for all our
our
kindred,
kindred,
the goose and the crow,
for the goose and the crow,
and for all humanity.
and for all humanity.
May it be so.
May it be so.
The goose blessing. Goose, may you never be hungry.
Goose, may you never be hungry.
May you never be thirsty.
Goose,
may
may you
never
never
be
be
thirsty.
thirsty.
Goose, may your spirit fly free.
Goose, may your
spirit
spirit
fly
fly
free.
free.
And so she does, everybody. And so do we all.
Yay.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I've got 2 final notices. There's a pirate's hat on the shrine. If anybody wants to give a small financial donation to help us pay for the expenses, the ribbons, the candles, the gin, the incense, so on, the flowers, please feel free to put your small donation into the pirate's hat. If you are interested in the running and Crossbones graveyard, there is going to be a new committee set up, which is a consultative board and part of a partnership between the leaseholders, the developers, and the friends of Crossbones graveyard. It's on September the 5th, which is in next week. It's at the bridge, which is on Southwark Bridge Road, near the bridge, at 6:30 to 8:30. Everybody is welcome, and in fact, more than just welcome, to put your voice to make the voice of Crossbones people strong where there are the leaseholders and the developers doing their thing. We are trying to work together. Let's hear community voices putting their energy into Crossbones rather than just authority.
Can you give me the date again?
I'll give you the date. If anybody wants that date again, come to me or Natalie and we'll go through.
All right.
For the
See
Zoom
Natalie.
people, the 5th of September, 6:30, the bridge. Thank you very much indeed.
Now it's just us. Right, I'm just going to stop the Facebook live. Actually, I'll stop the recording. Let me stop the recording.